Story time about how I caught my husband cheating on me with our very young nanny. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Send me on Instagram. I'm 45 years old and my husband is 10 years younger than me. When we first got married, my friends kept telling me not to marry someone so much younger. They told me that he would eventually cheat and leave me for someone younger. I refused to believe this hope because my husband and I really loved each other. Or at least I thought. We met at a party a few years ago and he made the first move right away. He asked me out on a date and a few weeks later we became boyfriend and girlfriend. A few years after that we got married and after years of trying we finally got pregnant and had twins. They are both 2 years old now. My husband's job requires him to travel a lot. I own a really big salon and business is good. So we have a pretty good life and are able to afford a lot of things for our kids. Since my husband travels, my schedule has to be really flexible. I take care of the kids in the morning and then I go off to work, leaving them with the nanny. Our first nanny was a lot older and she had lots of experience. But she unexpectedly quit on us, so we had to find another one. We decided to look for one of those nanny agencies. We ended up interviewing about 5 nannies, but my husband was set on one of them, and she was the youngest out of all of them, 18. Oh yeah, and the most attractive too. My husband told me that maybe we should try someone younger so that the kids can have fun, and I said yes. The nanny would cover for me for about 4 hours a day when I was at work. Her and I started to get along really well. She would tell me about her boy troubles and I would give her advice. I even started telling her about the problems I was having with my husband. Little did I know that she was the problem. Like I said in part 1, my husband travels a lot. This is what we would usually fight about. You see, it was actually really easy for him to travel less. All he had to do was pick a different region for his job. Instead of a 6-hour flight, it could have been a 2-hour trip. His excuse was that he would get paid less. When I was telling the nanny about our issues, she told me that I should just let it go and let my husband have his freedom. But the way she said it really bothered me. I ended the conversation and told her that she could go home. When my husband came home, I mentioned to him what the nanny said. I told him that I didn't like the way she told me that I needed to give him his freedom. He started to laugh and said, "She's just a young girl. She's probably just saying what she thinks you need to hear." I decided to listen to my husband and I let it go. A week later, the nanny comes over to take care of the kids. By the way, as soon as she would come to my house, I would serve her a plate of food or make her anything she wanted before I left to work. When she sat down to eat, I could see her messages on her phone, and the name on the messages was the same as my husband's. I asked her why she was messaging my husband and she quickly put her phone in her purse. She did not know what to say. I asked her if she was okay. Then she replies with, "I just needed some advice for my car." She was so nervous. I asked her to pull out her phone and give it to me. That's when she said no and started putting up a fight. She told me I had no right to check her phone, but I didn't believe her. I ripped her purse from her hands and grabbed the phone. Before I even have a chance to look at the messages, she starts calling me fat and old, and that my husband is planning to leave me for her. Honestly, what she was saying didn't faze me because my goal was to look at the messages, and she was pretty much right. In the messages, my husband promised her to leave me for her, and that he was sick of me and the kids. I begin to scroll up and see all of the pictures that they send each other. You can imagine what they were. By the way, the nanny was only a day from turning 18. Yep. Out of nowhere, she starts breaking plates and glasses and verbally abusing me. She even said that if I didn't leave him alone, that something bad would happen to me. I grabbed her by the arm and threw her out of the house, but I kept her phone, so I called my husband from the phone. When he hears my voice, he hangs up the phone. When he finally got home, we got into a 6-hour fight. I made him leave the house, but apparently the nanny went crazy. She started stalking him and he had to get a restraining order against her. Serves him right. Her parents are threatening to press charges. I don't want my kids to grow up without a father, but I don't want to get back with him. What should I do?
Am I the asshole for how I reacted after I discovered my husband left our daughter in dirty diapers for 4 hours? My husband and I have been married for 3 years and we have a toddler and an infant. The problem is that he's helpless. There, I said it. He doesn't have a job, spends his entire day on the phone or watching TV or playing on the latest console that I bought him with my money. Or just chilling on the couch eating couch snacks. He doesn't cook and doesn't know how, and when I ask him to tidy up the house, he's like, "Why, are we having guests over?" He does help, but it's the bare minimum. He'll take the trash out and then go back to the couch while I cook, clean, and get up with the baby. Then if I dare to criticize his behavior, he goes silent for a long time, like 2 to 3 weeks, and I hate it. I'll suggest jobs for him so he can help since I pay for everything, and he get excited then miss the job interview every single time. Days ago, I went home and found our 2-year-old daughter was left in dirty diapers for 4 hours. Even though her dad was home and was right there on the couch snoozing. When he said he planned to change the diaper, but until after his nap, a switch flipped inside of me. I royally lost it. I yelled at him to get up, and then I did the following. I made him clean the entire house top to bottom, moved the couch to the basement, confiscated his console, canceled his subscriptions, and turned the Wi-Fi off. Oh, and I took his couch snacks. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that I'll stop paying for everything, including therapy, if he doesn't start looking for a job? My husband and I have been together for a total of 4 years. He's dealt with depression and anxiety since 2019. He completely shut down, quit his job, sold his car, emptied his savings, and stopped seeing friends and family and started spending his day doing nothing. Not a thing. None. It took months before realizing that he was dealing with a mental health issue, and I arranged for him to see a therapist. He was against it but then agreed to give it a try. His quality of life improved and he got a major makeover, including a new car. I was happy that he got his life back, except that he doesn't work, not only that, but use my money to get his transformation. When I tried to talk to him about finding a job since now he's doing well, he put off the idea and says he needs more therapy to be ready to start committing to a job and working. This went on for months and he jumped from therapist to therapist and still said he's not ready for a job yet. But he's always going out to eat with his friends and buying new gadgets. We had a huge argument after I found out he bought a $200 wristwatch for himself using my credit card. I shouted that it was time to get a job, and that if he didn't, I would stop paying for everything, including therapy. He said that would send him back, but I said he was a hypocrite for saying he's not ready but living completely normal. Am I the asshole for insisting my boyfriend eat respectfully at a nice restaurant? So my boyfriend and I have been together for 7 months. We usually eat takeout if we want to get something to eat. However, I was recently promoted, so we went to eat at a very nice Italian restaurant to celebrate. Like one with an enforced dress code. My boyfriend is not the nicest of eaters, which can be kind of gross, but I deal with it. However, I didn't realize he had no table manners. When our appetizer was served, he looked at me jokingly and asked if I'd be upset if he enjoyed his meal the same way he would at home. I said that we were at a nice restaurant and there were other customers around. He didn't say anything, but instead started digging into the bruschetta with his hands. He got sauce all over his fingers, but I let this go. However, when the pasta came out, he smirked at me and ate like he hadn't eaten in a week. He then dropped his fork and started picking up pieces of chicken and noodles with his fingers, getting sauce everywhere. The tablecloth, his hands, his clothes, and face. He also burped after destroying a side of the table. The table next to us was astonished, and my waiter even asked him if he was okay. Customers were staring and he put his feet up on the chair next to us, blocking the aisle. I asked for the check, which I paid, and told him that I was embarrassed, but he said it's my fault for not letting him enjoy the meal.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister she was dating my biological father? I, 24 female, and the product of my mom having an affair. Fortunately, my dad decided to forgive my mom and keep me, and I had a pretty good upbringing. When I was 17, my mom took me out for ice cream and introduced me to my bio father. She said that she felt I was old enough to know the truth and explained about her affair, while also, A, making me promise I wouldn't tell my older sister, 27 female, in the present, and B, hammering home, along with my bio dad, that he'd never be a part of my life and didn't want me. It was a lot, I won't lie. Fast forward to the present. My big sister has always gravitated towards older men. And 2 months ago, she shared a picture of herself and her new boyfriend, who, to my shock, turned out to be my biological father.
The famous entitled sister and amazing OP. My fiance and I have been together for 8 years and engaged for 3. I was doing my PhD program and was juggling planning the wedding. My fiance took much of that work, but it was perfect because our dream venue was booked till after my graduation. So what we did is book our dream venue 3 years in advance. It is a really beautiful venue. The only slot we got was September of this year. My sister got engaged a few months ago to her fiance. They were planning on having a spring wedding next year. They had no venue lined up, but had a few vendors lined up as well as a set date. Yesterday, our parents invited us and our SOs to a family barbecue, where my sister announced to our extended family that she is expecting. Everyone was so happy for her, and my brother-in-law, who was a great guy. My nan asked my sister if the wedding was still on the set date or if they were going to wait because of the baby. She said no, that she hoped to move it to September. No big deal. We don't have many out-of-town guests, so they could attend to both weddings no problem. Nan was happy and asked sister if she needed help planning such a short-notice wedding. My sister then turns around and said, "That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was really hoping we could kinda like take your venue. I really cannot stress myself too much with planning a wedding while going to maternity classes, and I think it is so beautiful. It would really mean a lot to me." It went silent, but everyone was looking at me expecting me to say, "Yes, of course, everything for my little sister." My brother-in-law looked very uncomfortable and told her that they had talked about this and that it was not okay to put me on the spot. But my sister just said, "Don't be like that. My sister wants to do what's best for me, so it's no big deal, right?" I just said, "Well, it kind of is. I don't know. I have my heart really set on the venue." Cue the crying. She stormed off. Nan told me that I was being selfish because she needed the venue more than I did. I tried to defend myself and my mother said, "You waited 3 years. Would it have killed you to wait a few more months? When has your sister ever asked you for something?" A few comments later, my fiance got really mad and we left. My sister called me crying and said that it was unfair that I always get what I want and that I could have done this one thing for her. Dad said it was just a venue and what matters is the person who you're marrying. He is kind of right, but we've been planning for so long. My fiance is furious with my family and doesn't even want my sister to come. Now my family is threatening not to come because I am being selfish and my sister needs it more than me because having a baby is too stressful.
Hi guys, thank you for watching. I love you guys so much. Please like and subscribe to see more great videos. See you again.